Right, hello everybody and welcome to today's live video. I am here on Facebook and on YouTube and here for you guys on Instagram. So welcome, we're going to be talking about some things to do with professional development as project managers, and I'm here to answer all your questions. So if you have questions, oh hi Patrick, about project management, certification, training, mentoring, professional development, all those kind of things, you can leave them underneath this video and I will do my best to answer them today. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Elizabeth Harrion. I am an author, I'm a project management trainer and mentor, and I live and work in the UK, as you can probably hear from my accent. I run the blog A Girl's Guide to Project Management. Having said that, I'm also a fellow of the Association for Project Management here in the UK. So I do feel like after 20 years of real life working experience that I do have some things to share and I know what I'm talking about. So by all means, you can leave your questions below and I will do my best to answer them today. Meanwhile, while we wait for that, I wanted to tell you about something that happened to me earlier on in my career. So, oh, hi, Eileen. When I started out, I left university and I became I did an graduate training scheme, and then I started in my first real project management job, and I was able to go for a training course on the other side of the world. So I could have chosen to go to a training course really local, but no, not me. There was an option to go to the States and I decided going to the States would be far more fun, to transatlantic travel and learning about new cultures and all that kind of stuff. So I voted for going for the leadership course for the furthest venue away, and I flew to Virginia to study, to do the leadership course at AXA's training centre in Berry Hill, which is no longer an AXA training centre, but the building still exists, and I think now it's a wedding venue or a conference venue or something like that. But it used to be a dedicated training centre for AXA. And it was pretty cool to fly to the States for work, and the course was interesting. I have to say I don't remember masses of detail about what we learned about all the AXA way and the various different leadership techniques that were being talked about at the time. Remember, this was when I was in my early 20s, so a good 15 years ago now. But what I do remember is the people and the environment and the conversations that we had. I remember sitting at dinner with a group of other people from similar roles, and we were a mixture of managers and senior leaders and not so senior leaders. I mean, I was early in my career. I was on the very first level of what qualified to go onto this leadership course. And I think that what I could offer was perhaps, not as much as I could gain from the peers than the other people that I was with. But what was interesting was the conversation and talking to people. And I remember we sat in this beautiful dining hall and we had luxury meals because, they had a really fantastic chef, but the vegetarian choices were poor. And I remember one meal in particular, everybody had a cheese starter. And I thought, great, cheese, I can eat that, vegetarian. But I was given some, like boiled vegetables or something. And not awful, but I was just thinking, give me the beautiful cheese. Anyway, that's beside the point. I remember walking around in the grounds with another project manager, and she was from Australia. And what surprised me and was a fantastic learning opportunity for me was that she was having the same difficulties and challenges as I was. So we talked about stakeholders, we talked about our projects and timelines and risk and all of the stuff that we find hard as project leaders. And all the things I found hard were all the same things that she was finding hard. And that was a big eye-opener for me, because I suppose I had thought that what I was doing was special and unique and magical, and I was a special sunflower in my company doing these project-related things. And that is not true. There are people all over the world, in your organization and beyond, who are struggling with the same things that we are struggling with as project managers. And even if they're not struggling, they're celebrating the same things that we are celebrating. They're using the same document templates, they're having the same conversations, they're doing the same kickoff workshop agendas as we are leading. And having that light bulb moment, hi Shannon, of being able to recognize that there were other people doing similar things. There was a community, there was a group of international project managers that were out there. And I suppose up until that point, I hadn't really realized, because my training courses had all been very much corporate, organizationally led, so organized by my company for people in my company. There wasn't a lot of networking that I was doing. I was just, you know, kind of going to work, meeting my people at work, having my network there, reading the industry press. I wasn't actively part of any professional bodies at that point. So this was a massive light bulb moment for me, because we talked about our projects, and the same stuff that was keeping me awake was the stuff that was bothering her. And like I say, it was the first time I realized I wasn't alone in those challenges. And if you have questions that you want me to answer today while we're on our live video, then by all means poke them in the chat. Leave them under the Instagram video. You can. We will do our best to collate the video comments as well. If you are on Facebook joining us on Facebook for this, you will need to let StreamYard know that who you are. If you want me to know who you are, because at the moment I can't see people who are commenting and their names, whereas I can easily see you on Instagram. Hello. All right, so I suppose from that realization that other people in the world were doing the same job, and I know it sounds silly now, but you know, 15 years ago we didn't have these kind of social media networks. I wasn't tuning in to watch people live. I was living in a bubble, and the world now is a very different place. What is similar though, I found, is that we are still struggling within our project management communities at making those connections. So only 40% of PMOs offer mentoring. And given that, you know, she wasn't my mentor, we'd only just met, the Australian project manager on my leadership course in the States, but we shared something, and that brought us together. And having a peer who you can talk to is an amazing benefit. And that's not something that PMOs routinely do. So Wellington, who, if you don't know, they do a state of project management report. And in their analysis of the most latest version that I've read, it says that 40% of project managers 40% of PMOs offer mentoring. That doesn't seem very much to me, because within a PMO, you've got senior managers, you've got senior experienced project professionals who could be supporting junior colleagues. So if you have a PMO, you work in a PMO, it would definitely be something worth asking, and to see whether or not your PMO offers the same functionality, offers the same service. The reason that's important is because creating your network and working with others and linking together, hi Veronica, good morning, is something that is good for your career. This is not just me talking about networking and, you know, having connections on LinkedIn. Mentees are promoted 5 times more often than people who do not have a mentor. So it is worth, if anyone wants the source for that stat, get in touch, because I can send you the research, or I can send you the survey that found that out. But if 5 times more, I mean, come on, who doesn't want to be promoted, right? So it's really important, if you think through what your career goals need to be, where you want to go, and if you want to get onto your next step of your career ladder, then it is worth taking the time to find a mentor, or find someone who you can talk to within your company, outside your company. It's something that I do. I offer mentoring, so you can get in touch with me if you'd like to find out more about that. But it doesn't matter who. Honestly doesn't matter who, as long as they are someone who has the time for you and who you respect. Anything from informal coffee chats to very structured internal training courses, training programs for mentors. If you can get hold of a mentor, if you can dedicate some time to it, you will learn a lot from them and from the process of mentoring. So mentoring, if you've got the opportunity to mentor somebody else, is also worth going for. Right, Patrick's got a question. Are there any simulators you recommend for Scrum, for example, in order to gain experience that you don't have yet? If you are going for a Scrum Master, there is a fantastic person I follow on Instagram called the Scrum Mother, I think. And she has a kind of like Scrum Master bootcamp thing that I haven't done, so I can't personally vouch for it. But Patrick, if you message me, I will link you to her, because her course looks really interesting, and it does provide you with the experience. Because I know from, you know, my own experience of working with not really very agile teams, you need to have the experience of any kind of environment before you go in and try and lead this stuff yourself. Because if you have had the experience of holding a daily Scrum meeting, talking through the product backlog, hosting a retrospective and facilitating the discussion, then that would be really much more valuable, and you'll feel much more confident doing that for the first time. And that's the same whether you're working in an agile environment or a non-agile environment. One of the things I do with my mentees, for example, is we do meeting planning, so that if they've got a big event coming up, we would have a session where we would look for, what are the outcomes, what objectives do we want to achieve from this meeting, what do they need to put on the agenda, are they inviting the right people, even to the point of kind of, helping people work out what they're going to say when people come into the room, so that they feel confident that the event is going to run smoothly. And it could just be facilitating a workshop, but it's giving people confidence. So experience really matters. So Patrick, great question. Get in touch with me, and I'm sure she's called the Scrum Mother on Instagram. She does loads of funny videos. And if her training program is still running, then it's, like I say, I've not done it, I can't vouch for it, but it looks good. It looks like it would be what you're after. Somebody else has a question here. How can I find a mentor for project management? I offer mentoring. Even though I tried cold emailing and LinkedIn mails, I'm not getting great response. I think a mentor is crucial for career development. I agree, it is. However, people are busy. And if you're expecting someone to mentor you and give up their time, it's people are struggling at the moment to try and have time to provide services like that. If you cold outreach to me on LinkedIn and say, can I do something? The chances are I'm going to say no, because I have clients to serve, I have projects to run, I have teams, which is why I offer my mentoring as a paid service. So I know that people can come to me, they get me dedicated, they get notes after the session, I am there for as long as they need, and I can make sure I'm giving them my full attention and resources. If we talk about templates, I send them afterwards. They get a complete package. They're not getting someone who is just trying to do their emails and talk to someone who's got a question in the meantime. So if you've got a budget, paying someone to mentor you, or to be your sounding board, or to be, whether you want to call it project management coaching or mentoring. Personally, I don't call what I do coaching, because I feel coaching, what I do with one-to-one clients anyway, coaching on a one-to-one basis has a very different connotation, whereas I'm quite opinionated and I would much rather tell you what to do rather than coach you to the to come up with the solutions yourself. So there's a different nuance. But whether you want coaching or whether you want mentoring, if you've got a budget and you can pay for it, you will get a much better service than if you just reach out to people. Having said that, I'm guessing you probably don't have money to spend on that kind of support, which is a shame, because within an hour we can cover so much stuff, to the point that most of my mentoring customers come once, twice, we solve their problems and they're good. So it's just a sounding board for people when they're stuck. I do offer services where we do once a month for 6 months or something like that, especially with people who are starting in new roles, because often when you start in a new job, you want to make a very good first impression. So that's an option as well. But the other suggestion I had was PMI chapters. So if you are looking for a mentor, you're relatively early on in your career, and you can join a PMI chapter, you may well find that they have experienced project managers who get PDUs for mentoring. So there is definitely something in it for them, and they would be able to set you up with a mentor. So again, it depends where you are in the world, whether that's an option for you. But if you can reach out to your PMI chapter and find out what programs they have for mentoring, you're much more likely to get a response than cold outreach to random people on LinkedIn. I hope that was helpful. Okay, so mentoring is one thing, and that's part of the community. And I often find that going to events, talking to people, just having those light bulb moments when you're working with others is a good, just makes you feel good, validates everything. I went to a conference last week, actually, as a little bit of an aside, not strictly speaking project related, but it was lovely to be in a room, even though we all had masks, most of us had masks, that we were having adult conversations, I was learning things. But what I came away with most was that the things I was doing had been validated. So I was on the right track. So the things I picked up, the stuff I learned, was not brand new, amazing, radical stuff that I'd never heard of before, but it was a solid validation of what I was doing, and a reminder of some good practice that I knew I should do, but that I really wasn't doing. So having that community and being able to meet with other people is really good. And that's actually what we are doing in Project Management Camp for the next 10 weeks. So on Monday, Project Management Camp is running and that is a 10-week blended professional development support program. So that's a blend of one-to-one calls, so that's your one-to-one mentoring, as well as group calls where we can all get together and chat about the things that are bothering us and share experiences, as well as some other things during the week and some lovely surprises as well. So there's I've put the URL on the screen if you're watching on Facebook, Girls Guide to PM/camp. If you are on Instagram, you can go to my bio, and in the links, I think it's the top link when you go to my Linktree page, you can see that there. So if you wanted to find out more about PM Camp, I think it's going to be really good because it's all of the things we've talked about. It's a blend of personal one-to-one time, it's actual structured training courses, and it's the group community as well. Now, one of the things with mentoring is that despite the fact we've already talked about, it's quite hard to find people to do it for free. Oh, I have a comment here as well. Let's make sure I've got that. Oh, thank you for sharing that URL. Scrum Life Consulting. Hello. Now, Scrum Life Consulting, who's just joined watching on Instagram, is who I was talking about, Patrick. So I got the name wrong, but I recognize the photo, the picture. So Patrick, you want to connect with her and catch up about Scrum training? Yes. Hello, we were just talking about you and about the Scrum support, and the Patrick, who might still be in the comments, had a question. Perfect. Right, I'm glad to have connected you because I certainly couldn't offer Scrum support myself, but I'm glad that I know people who can. Awesome. So that's been exciting. And this is all about the power of community. So if we get the right people in the right room, whether it's mentoring and training and all that kind of stuff, amazing things can happen. So I'm pleased. Okay, so this discussion has taken a very different turn from where we started, which was my story of meeting an Australian project management person in the States on a training course and changing the perception of my problems and also my ability to deal with the challenges and realizing that the support was there if I wanted to go out and find it. So talking things through helped me see things differently. And if you think that might be the case for you as well, then you can go to girlsguidetopm.com/camp, and you can find out a bit more about the kind of thing that we will be doing over the next 10 weeks. So, it's just all the normal work stuff, but often you don't want to talk about that with the people that you meet in your workplace, because people in your workplace are your friends, are your colleagues, and sometimes having somebody who is slightly more remote, slightly more distant from your problems will help you see things in a different way. And I certainly know from my own experience that I've wanted to talk to people outside of my workplace because I don't want my colleagues to know that I'm asking for help. As sad as that may be, you might well be in an organizational culture where it's not so easy for you to reach out and ask for help without there being some kind of stigma or perception or some kind of office politics involved in that you want to avoid. And that's where external groups and other support communities can help. So Project Management Camp is happening from next week, and hopefully that will be a good resource for some people, and I'd love to see you there. It's an application only, so on the camp page you will see a link to the application form. I have a question here. Any key tips to run the daily stand-up for an agile team? Well, my experience has not been in practice very agile. I join a team that does do daily stand-ups. I join them from time to time, but I'm only a contractor for them, so they don't need me on those daily stand-ups every day. I do have, though, a fantastic article about energizing your daily stand-ups on girlsguidetopm.com. So if you go over to girlsguidetopm.com and in the search bar type Scrum meeting daily stand-up, you will find 5 fantastic tips to energize your daily Scrum meeting. Not written by me, but written by an expert person who really does live and breathe the Scrum Master principles. So if I can pull up some key points that I remember from that article, it is things like making sure you're keeping it brief, making sure people have what they need to get on with their work for the day, and making sure that it's interesting and that it doesn't become so routine and repetitive that everybody finds it a bit of a drag to attend. And I'm sure other experts will have thoughts about that as well. But for me, I want all my meetings to be timely, to have the right people in the room, to be engaging for all the participants, and making sure that I'm not wasting anybody's time, and that the objective of the meeting is achieved. And in the daily Scrum meeting, that is to make sure people have what they need and the roadblocks are removed so they can get on with doing their best work during the day, ready to carry on and report back at tomorrow's meeting. So I would say I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. I'll share the link to that article, and then you can have take a look at that. All right, I feel like we've been going for 20 minutes or so, so I don't see any other questions. If you do feel that you have questions about Project Management Camp, or if you have any questions about mentoring in general and you want to reach out to me about mentoring too, by all means, get in touch. You can find me in all the normal places. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, or you can get me on LinkedIn as well, or on Twitter. I don't really check Twitter so much, but LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, I will definitely be able to get back to you. And perhaps I will see you on one of my next live videos. All right, thanks very much, everyone. Have a fantastic afternoon. Goodbye.